Light it.
Welcome back to the Triple Option presented by Wendy's. We are excited now to take you to Happy Valley and bring in the head coach of We Are
Penn State.
All right, there we go. The head coach.
I didn't know if somebody else was going to jump in there. I didn't know
Oh,
if
man,
that
we're
was
all in on
me.
this one, man. Coach James Franklin, kind enough to join us.
Thank
Happy
you.
summer, man. Thanks for joining us.
welcome.
We've been hunting you for a while, Coach.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be on.
I'm going to jump in knee deep with this, right? They had a bunch of feel good questions. I'm not going to do that. I remember me and you would sitting in Big Ten meetings, and we shared the same concern for the rules and who's following, who's not, and compliance, et cetera. And then all of a sudden, I see that this college commissions come out with these guardrails for rules, and the whole world's acting like, okay, finally we have rules. James, I started in 1982, probably around when you did. They handed us a rule book that thick, and every rule was covered in there, but people didn't necessarily follow them. So what's going to be – I keep – okay, there's no tampering, no paying players, no extra benefits. I got news. That's been around for a long time. So do you see this changing because there's an entity outside the NCAA and people I'm understanding have to sign and say we're in, but I'm going to hand it off to you right now. Rules without enforcement, you might as well have them. So what's your thoughts?
Yeah, Coach, I think we both kind of had a similar experience from the standpoint we both were in the Big Ten meetings together, and we had also both been SEC head coaches. So
Right.
we kind of had a unique perspective on all these things. And I'm not shocked, Herbs, that you're not easing into this interview, right? That does not surprise me one bit. But yeah, I think what the hope is, Herbs, is that everybody's going to have to sign in and agree to this. And then with that, you're basically saying if you want to be a part of this, that you're agreeing to all the rules and how everything needs to play out, the guidelines of how we're all going to operate within the system. And with that, from what I understand, you're not going to be able to sue. If you want to be a part of this, you're in. And if you don't want to be a part of it, then go play somewhere else, whether it's NAIA or whatever it may be. But I think your point is a good one. There is going to be an entity and an arm that is going to be on enforcement. And this is going to be different than anything we've all experienced because they're going to have subpoena power.
Wow.
And they are going to act swiftly. This is not going to be one of these things that we've all kind of grew up with under the NCAA where it goes on for 2 years. And a lot of times the coach is gone and the next coach is coming in and having to deal with it, myself included. This is going to be something where decisions are going to be made swiftly. Very similar to, I think, maybe a Major League Baseball model, an NFL model is what they are trying to bring to college football. So I think in theory, Herbs, I think you'll like what they're trying to do. Now, as we both know, the theory of it and the reality are two different things, and there's going to be some growing pains, as we work through it. So I'm hopeful.
Have you seen the document? Have you and your AD talked to? Is it a legitimate document saying that you like Tom Mars is not going to be suing the NCAA every 3 weeks, or not the NCAA, the college commission? Is that what you're saying? Is that I didn't know that part. I didn't understand the subpoena power, which is huge for expediting issues. And then number two, if it's no litigation, we're in. Is that what's going to happen? Then do you see any teams balking at signing this thing?
Yeah, I think people are going to have a hard time of not signing it because I think it's going to start with the commissioners and the presidents, right? And everybody's going to want to be a part of this because obviously there's financial implications to all of this as well. And how are you going to be on the outside, right? So I do think everybody is going to sign it. Now, what we're signing, I have not seen yet. I think that's at a presidential level and an athletic director level. But even when we were at Big Ten meetings, that still not was something that was out there for all of us to see, that they're still working through the details. I think a lot of this, they were waiting until the judge, formally made the decision. And then there's an implementation committee, partly from the NCAA commissioners, athletic directors that are part of implementing, basically the House rules. And it's going to go from there. So we're still learning, Herbs. I'm still learning every single day and getting more information. But what has been explained to me, I think they're hopeful is the best way to describe it, that we can move in this direction.
And last question before I hand it off to Mark is that, so this is just NIL, right? This has nothing to do with the other nonsense, where the NCAA is still going to handle whatever it may be, other issues within the sportsmanship and rules. Is that correct?
So the way I kind of understand it is this is revenue sharing rules and NIL rules kind of are all under this umbrella. But I would also say, Coach, that I really think it's pretty much going to be everything. I think football is going to be run by this entity.
Wow.
And I don't want to use the term like that we're breaking away, but I think football is going to be run by this entity.
Does that include things like playoffs, Coach?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, everything is going to fall under this umbrella, because the reality is right now, it's going to be the Big Ten commissioner, the SEC commissioner, and this entity. People are going to get upset when I say that, but they're going to be the ones running it. And obviously other commissioners from other conferences is going to have a voice as well. But I think the challenge, and Coach Herbs knows this, is in the old days under the NCAA structure, Penn State would have a vote, Ohio State would have a vote, they'd be the same. But then an FCS school or a smaller school, 1AA school, would have a similar vote under the NCAA structure that we would. And you'd be trying to get things passed and you try to get rules involved. And they were trying to treat us all the same, and we're not. So I think we're trying to get kind of to more of a structure now where we're making decisions that are in the best interest of major college football. And I think we're close to achieving that from the way it's being described to me.
Coach, we've seen kind of like a common theme the last couple of years in the national champions is Ohio State and Michigan kind of getting their core leaderships, their core guys to come back and return. And we've seen that happen with you in Penn State. Just my first question is, what went into these like exit meetings for you to get these guys to buy in and get the whole team to like say, hey, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna forego my senior year and go to the NFL. I'm gonna come back and try to accomplish something special with this team and with this coaching staff. What went into it? How did you get that mentality and that mindset going within your returning players?
Yeah, to be honest with you, it really wasn't that, because it really, back to Coach Herbs's question too, that's a big part of this, right? We're having these conversations during the playoffs. I'm trying to retain my team during the playoffs. And that's the challenge. We're trying to get rid of this so you don't have the transfer portal open during the playoffs.
Right.
We should be totally focused on trying to win a championship. And instead, I'm having conversations to try to keep the team together. So it wasn't like getting the whole team together and say, let's come back. Well, the season hadn't been over yet. Guys were having to make these decisions before that. So it really didn't play out that way. It was really just one conversation at a time. And as we've done for years, you sit down with the players and you sit down with their parents and you have all the information from the GMs and the scouts. You're being projected as a third or fourth round draft choice or a fourth and fifth round draft choice. And we've gotten to the point where we got guys that don't feel like they should leave Penn State unless they're going to be a first or second round draft choice. So they want to maximize their experience in college. It may be finishing their degree. It may be coming back to improve their draft stock. It may be also having an opportunity to make a run at a national championship. It's all of those things. And what we talk about too, with team success comes individual recognition. And, you look at the teams that are the most successful, they're able to get those guys back, like you mentioned, and they're focused on the team first, and then all these other things that are going to come as a byproduct of the success that the team has.
And just one follow up, man. We talk about returning starters. Two of the starters returning that I'm most excited about is your two backs, Katron Allen and Nick Singleton. Both had over 1,000 yards rushing last year. And I was able to do a feature on both these guys. And man, it really impressed me how selfless they were, how much they cared about each other, but also how much they compete against each other. And that's what makes them so much better. But how does their playing styles complement each other? And also, how do you think they've put their egos aside to share these touches over the past 2-3 years that you've seen, Coach?
Well, first of all, shocker that you want to talk about the running backs right now.
You know
I
that. I
guess
got to talk to RBs, Coach.
yeah. The first thing I'll say is, to be honest, I was surprised when they both came back. I thought it was going to be similar to our tight end situation where, we had Tyler Warren and Theo Johnson, both tight ends. And once one decided to leave, the other one stayed, or vice versa. And I thought it was going to be similar. But I also think they have bought into our philosophy here. We don't want to be in a situation where we're sending a running back to the NFL and he's got,
too much wear and
300,
tear.
400 carries on a season, and then the NFL feels like he's beat up,
Yes.
and not a whole lot of tread left on the tires. Our guys understand, they're really good complementary pieces. It's going to be really good for their longevity and their careers and things like that. The other thing that really helped that no one wants to talk about is we got a chance to have one of the best offensive lines in college football this year. That plays a big part in this as well. They know who's coming back in front of them. And that's gonna be helpful. And then we went out into the transfer portal and got a little bit of help at wide receiver, because if people are concerned about our passing game, as you know, that's going to help our running backs as much as anything.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Hey, James. In 2012, I went to the Big Ten. I think you came 2 or 3 years later. And
I came in 14.
Yeah, in 14. I was shocked when I first got there. Coming from the SEC at the just the quality of football, from stadium experiences, from, there were great players, but not enough great players. And even my wife, Shelley, said to me once, man, this is slow compared to what we just did for the last 6 years. And now fast forward, I think the Big Ten has passed the SEC. Obviously, they have a national champ, maybe not top to bottom, but speak to how much the Big Ten has improved. We added the 4 Pac-12 teams, which have added a lot of depth to the conference. Are you shocked, surprised, proud of where the Big Ten has come from where it was back in the 12, 13, 14 years?
Yeah, I'm proud. And I think the biggest thing is the point you just made. It's strange that the Big Ten is now on the West Coast. But I think whenever you're able to add a USC, a UCLA, a Washington, and an Oregon to your conference, you could make the argument this is the strongest the Big Ten has ever been in its history, from top to bottom. So, yeah, I'm proud of that. I'm proud of being associated with the Big Ten. I'm proud of what we've been able to do. I'm proud of the success on the football field, and I'm proud of Penn State's role in that as well. And I think your point is a good one. We're really competing everywhere now. We're part of the conversation. We're either the best conference in college football, or we're least part of that argument between two conferences. I think we both have a healthy respect for the SEC. But when you talk about national championships, when you talk about draft choices, when you talk about those things at the very, very highest level, it's a heck of an argument year in and year out what those two conferences are able to do.
Yep.
Coach, the last couple of years, your program has been so consistent, constantly in that double-digit win type category, and you're fighting for Big Ten championships. You're getting yourself in the college football playoffs. But I do feel there is a conversation out there. There is a narrative about Penn State that we only believe in Penn State up until a certain point. When it's talking semifinals or winning the national championship, it's hard to really push your chips in to Penn State. And maybe that's a narrative that you've heard or you haven't heard, but we in the media certainly feel it. And it's one that we've expressed as well, to be honest. So what does Penn State need to do on the field to prove to people, hey, we belong in this upper echelon of college football?
Yeah, well, I think a couple things. I think first thing is you got to embrace that, right? I mean, that's the nature of major college football. That's part of being at a place like Penn State. I mean, we finished 5th in the country last year, and people are pissed, right? Like that's what the Penn State job is about. You got to embrace that. I'm very proud of what we've accomplished. We've been as consistent as any program in the country. We've been as consistent at Penn State that Penn State's ever been since joining the Big Ten. So I'm proud of all those things. But I also understand, fully embrace that we got to take that next step. And it's winning those games that you're talking about. We totally understand that. And, we're excited about it. That's what this year is all about taking those steps. Like Mark brought up, we got a core group of guys coming back that we're going to rely on heavily. But we can't wait. And I think one of the things that we're doing, I think, a good job of is balancing that with also not doing what a lot of programs do as well, which lose the games that you're not supposed to lose. We've done a really good job of that. And what I don't want to do is now we put such an emphasis on these other games that now we end up losing some teams that we're not supposed to. So that's the balancing act. And I'm proud of the staff and I'm proud of the players of how we're approaching it. And we got a tremendous opportunity to change that conversation and change that narrative.
You look at your roster right now. Do you have a national championship team sitting there in Happy Valley right now?
I think we got a tremendous opportunity to do some special things this year. I know you don't want me to do this, but I am excited about our opportunity. I'm looking up on the screen right now. Nevada is our opening game. People are going to say, well, that's not a big game. We'll lose to Nevada and find out quickly.
Yeah.
So we're focused on that. But I also am totally comfortable with talking about the things that we aspire to do as a team this year and as a season. And for these players, to me, that's the biggest thing is I want these players to experience this. Yeah. I want these players that have come back and made these sacrifices to be a part of something special. And that's why I wake up very early. And that's why I go to sleep late at night, trying to put these players in the best position to be successful and have a very, very special season this year at Penn State.
Coach, we really appreciate the time.
Thanks,
Enjoy
Coach.
the rest of your summer, and always good to catch up with you. I have a funny feeling we'll be seeing you a couple times this upcoming season.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. And I got to say, I think our two running backs, I think those guys may be a little bit bigger than our guy here. I think
Hey, yeah. Coach, they should be because I'm retired.
Yes.
I'm just a soccer dad now.
When you got the guns out and you don't look retired like that. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Retired. No, you don't see me and Herbs doing that. Retired guys Coach, don't do that.
I ain't hitting the weights like them boys are. I ain't doing them heavy squats like them boys are, man. I'm chasing these kids around, Coach. That's all I got to do now.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
You're the best, Coach Franklin. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Light it.